Aduke, stop lying to me. Alani's voice thundered through the house, raw with an anger that had been simmering for weeks. You have been sleeping around, haven't you? You have been cheating on me, and it's this pregnancy that has exposed your shame. His words were not just spoken, they were hurled, each one a sharp stone intended to wound. Aduke stood in the middle of the room, a familiar space feeling suddenly alien and hostile. Her hands trembled as she adjusted her wrapper. The vibrant Ankara print, a stark contrast to the grey pallor of despair that had washed over her face. How can you say that to me, Alani? How dare you accuse me of such a thing after all these years? Is this the trust you have for me? Her voice was a fragile thread, threatening to snap. He took a step forward, his frame blocking the light from the single bulb, his face twisted in a mask of disbelief and betrayal. How dare I? Aduke, are you the one who will dare me in my own house? For 3 months, I haven't been with you. For 3 months, I've been in Port Harcourt working, struggling to build something for us, for our future, and now you are pregnant. Who did it? Who? He was close enough now that she could see the faint sheen of sweat on his forehead and the wild, hot confusion in his eyes. Alani, stop shouting, she pleaded, her voice breaking under the weight of his onslaught. You know you have been coming home. Every week you return, and you stay the weekend with me. You touch me, you talk to me, we have sex, we laugh. What are you saying? Have you forgotten our own life? He searched his face for a glimmer of recognition, a softening but found none. He pointed a trembling, accusing finger at her stomach, the gesture as violent as a thrust. Every week? Me? You have lost your mind. I only come home once a month, and even those times, I barely spend 2 nights before returning to work. I haven't touched you, Aduke. I haven't touched you in 3 months. His voice cracked on the last words, revealing the deep well of pain beneath the fury. Then, who has been touching me? Who have been sleeping with me? She cried out. The question a desperate guttural sound as she pounded her chest with her fist. Who sleeps beside me every Friday night? Who holds me and says, my Aduke, I missed you? Who eats my food? You even fixed the socket last week. You complained the spark was frightening. Me? He laughed, a bitter hollow sound that held no humor. You are mad. You must think I'm stupid. Eh? You have been sleeping with another man, and now that you are caught, you are spinning stories. You expect me to believe this? This nonsense? He swept his arm around the room, as if the very walls were complicit in her deceit. Her tears, which had been flowing freely, now gave way to a hot, defensive anger. You are wicked, Alani. You are not the man I married. You go away for months. You come back only to shout, to call me names. When did you become this cruel? When did the man who wrote me love letters become this? The stranger who brands me a harlot? She took a step towards him, her own body trembling not with fear, but with a righteous indignation. He hit his open palm against the wall, the impact making the framed wedding photograph rattle. Cruel? I am cruel because I'm demanding to know who got my wife pregnant. You think I'm blind? You think I don't know how these neighbors look at me? With pity, as if I'm a fool wearing another man's cap. The reference to the proverbial symbol of folklore hung in the air, ugly and venomous. She moved closer still, her face wet with tears, her eyes blazing. You think I don't see how you have changed? You used to trust me, Alani. You used to love me. Now you look at me like I'm dead. You want to destroy me with your words. Me, your wife, the one who has prayed for you, waited for you, kept your home. You destroy yourself. He backed, his voice dropping to a menacing low. You opened your legs for someone else, and now you want to drag me into your mess, to put a child that is not my blood in my house. She slapped him hard. The sound cracked through the room, a sharp, stunning report that seemed to stop time itself. He froze, his eyes wide with shock, a red handprint blooming on his cheek. For a long moment, the world went utterly still. Nothing existed but the low hum of the struggling fridge and the persistent drone of a generator in the distance. distance. Aduke stepped back, her own hands stinging, her whole body shaking. "You have broken my heart, Alani. You have become a stranger to me." The fight had gone out of her, leaving only a vast hollow ache. "And you have become a disgrace," he spat, the words final and cold. At that, she broke down completely. Her wails, raw and unrestrained, filled the flat, spilling out through the windows and into the silent compound. Neighbors, who had been listening with bated breath, began peeking through curtains, their shadows shifting behind lace screens. Old Mama Kemi, who lived directly across the street, muttered to herself as she stood by her window, folding her arms over her nightgown. "Ah, this man and this woman. But this one, they don't fight oh. This one is different oh. Something serious is happening today. This cry, is it the cry of soul in torment?" The shouting had reached a fever pitch, a public spectacle of private grief, until someone, shamed by the noise, finally called the local elders, the respected men and women who often settled these domestic issues in the compound and whose wisdom was the unofficial law of the community. By the time the elders arrived, night had fully swallowed the street, leaving only pockets of yellow light from windows and the occasional beam of a passing motorbike. Inside flat 6, the air was stifling. Lanterns were lit, their flickering flames casting long, dancing shadows on the parlor walls as the elders sat down. Pa Olanrewaju, grey-bearded and calm as a deep lake, and Mama Fumilayo, whose sharp, knowing eyes were rumored to see through every lie and straight into the heart of a matter. Pa Olanrewaju began, his voice a low, steady rumble as he leaned heavily on his polished walking stick. "We have been hearing your voices from far away. What is the matter that cannot wait till morning? What fire is burning that you must wake the whole street with its smoke?" Aduke, who had been reduced to silence, shuddering sobs, folded her arms across her chest as if holding herself together. Alani stood rigid by the door, a statue of resentment, refusing to look at her, his gaze fixed on a crack in the floor tiles. "Pa, this woman has brought shame to me," Alani began, his voice tight. "She's pregnant, and it's not mine. I have been away for 3 months, only coming home once in a while, and even then, I haven't touched her. But she's 2 months pregnant. Tell me, how? How now? Is it the wind that got her pregnant?" The cruel question hung in the air, offensive yet reflective of his utter bafflement. "Is that true, Aduke?" Mama Fumilayo asked, her tone not accusatory, but gently probing, like a mother coaxing a splinter from a child's finger. Aduke lifted her face, swollen and glossy with tears. "No, ma, he is lying. My husband has been coming home every week. He sleeps beside me, eats my food, even fixes things in the house, and we have sex almost every time he comes home. I don't understand what he's saying. It is him, I swear." Her voice was a whisper of sheer exhaustion. Alani laughed, a dry, scornful sound. "You see, she's delusional. She lives in a world of her own making. I only come once in a month, and I can prove it. My company logs every trip. I have records, stamped and signed. How can I be in Ibadan when I'm physically signed in at work in Port Harcourt? Is it my ghost that comes home to her?" The elders exchanged slow, weighty glances. Pa Olanrewaju's brow furrowed deeply. Mama Fumilayo's eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of something beyond confusion, a dawning, unsettling suspicion in their depths. "Let's calm down," Pa Olanrewaju said, raising a placating hand. "Aduke, my daughter, tell us carefully. How often does he come home? And how do you know it's him? Describe it to us." She hesitated, her eyes darting towards Alani's unyielding back before returning to the elders. "Every week, on Friday evening, it's him. Exactly him. He talks like him. He knows her stories. It's my husband." She said it with a conviction that was unnerving. Mama Fumilayo leaned forward, her gaze intense. "My child, how did all this begin? Think, before this weekly visit starts. Did you notice anything strange? Did you do anything, perhaps something unusual?" Aduke bit her lip, her eyes clouding with memory. She wrapped her arms around herself tighter. "It started 4 months ago," she began, her voice barely audible. "I was so lonely. The house was too quiet. I missed him badly. One night, I was watching a movie, one of those Nollywood love films, where a woman called her husband by his spirit, and he came home to her. She just said some words, light a candle, and the next morning, he appeared at her door, returned from a long journey." And Pa Olanrewaju asked, his tone tightening, losing its earlier softness. Aduke swallowed, visibly ashamed. "That night, I said the same thing. I was crying. I took one of his old shirts from the basket, light a small candle, and I whispered into the night, 'Wherever you are, my love, come home to me.' It was silly. I was just playing. I was desperate and sad. I didn't think it would really happen." "What happened after that?" Mama Fumilayo pressed, her voice low and urgent. She looked up slowly, her eyes wide with the memory. "It came the next day." Everyone in the room froze. The hum of the generator outside seemed to grow louder, filling the silence. "He came?" Alani repeated, his voice now stripped of anger, layered with a creeping cold dread. "How could I come when I was in Port Harcourt? I was there. I have proofs." Aduke nodded, fresh tears tracing paths through the dried ones on her cheek. "He came home. The neighbors saw him. He even helped Mama Kemi carry a bucket of water from the well. We spent the weekends together. It was beautiful, like old times. On Monday, he packed his bag and left for work. Since then, every Thursday night, I do the same thing. And every Friday, he comes home. We stay till Monday morning. Then he goes." She laid out the bizarre routine with a terrifying matter of factness. The room went dead silent. The flickering lantern light now seemed to cast shadows that wreathed with a life of their own. Paolariwaju's voice dropped to a grave, horrified whisper. "You mean you have been calling his spirit and he answers?" "Yes, Baba," Aduke whispered, finally understanding the magnitude of her folly. The old man sighed, a sound of profound weariness and pity. My daughter. But he said he never left Port Harcourt. So tell me, does it now occur to you that the thing that comes to you may look like your husband, may sound like your husband, but it is not him?" Alani's anger drained from his face completely, replaced by a pure, unadulterated fear. His knees felt weak. "Wait," he stammered. "Even though I still find it hard to believe all these lullabies she's spinning, I want to know, are you saying something else? Something not human has been coming to her, or someone else have been coming to her, living with her, and having sex with her?" Mama Fumilayo nodded slowly, her face grim. "Yes, and it has been using your face. It's either it's another human being having your stature and putting on mask, or it's a spirit using your body." The revelation struck Aduke with the force of a physical blow. The memory of every tender touch, every whispered endearment, now felt like a violation. A scream tore from her very core, a primal sound of utter terror and discretion. "Yé, mo gbé o." The Yoruba cry for help meant I am finished. But in that moment, it meant so much more. My life is over. My body is defiled. My world is undone. To confirm the terrifying truth, the elders instructed Aduke to repeat her act that very night. They would all bear witness. They all stayed in the house, Aduke shivering and pale, Alani now holding her hand in a grip that was both fearful and protective, and the two elders, their faces set in grim masks of duty. The parlor was steeped in an oppressive silence. The clock on the wall ticked away the seconds, each one a hammer blow of anticipation. At exactly 11:30 p.m., her hands shaking so violently she could barely hold the match, Aduke lighted the same candle she had used before. She placed one of Alani's work shirts on the center chair, the fabric imbued with its genuine scent, and whispered the faithful words into the stagnant air. "Wherever you are, my love, come home to me." The room grew still, colder. The flame flickered once, twice, then burned with an unnatural steady straightness, casting no shadow. No one spoke. The hours dragged by, each minute stretching into an eternity of dread. Alani watched his wife, seeing not a cheat, but a victim of a profound spiritual violation. and his heart ached with a confused mix of pity, horror, and residual sting of betrayal. Then around 5:30 a.m., when the darkness outside was at its absolute deepest, just before the first hint of dawn, a knock sounded on the door. It was not a loud, demanding knock, but a familiar, gentle tap, tap, tap. Everyone turned as one, their blood running cold. "Who is there?" Alani called out, his voice cracking. A familiar voice, laced with the fatigue of a long journey, answered from the other side. "It's me, Alani. Open the door, my love." The journey was long. Alani's blood ran cold. It was his own voice, and perfect echo, but hearing it from outside while he stood inside was a paradox that threatened to shatter his sanity. With a trembling hand, he opened the door slowly, the hinges cracking in the silence, and there he stood, himself, the same face, the same slight stubble, the same posture, the same tired smile he saw in the mirror every time. It was wearing the same type of clothes he often traveled with. The elders gasped, recoiling. Mama Fumilayo made a swift sign of the cross. Aduke screamed, "Yea, Temi Bami, what have I done to myself?" The question was a lamentation from her stolen innocence and shattered reality. The figure looked past Alani and directly at her, its expression softening with what looked like genuine love and longing. "My Aduke," it said, its voice a perfect replica of Alani's tender tone. "I have missed you," he then added with a slight chilling chuckle. "It took you long to summon me this time. I was waiting." But when its eyes scanned the room and noticed the others, its smile faltered. The loving warmth in his eyes evaporated, replaced by a cold, ancient intelligence. Its eyes darkened, seeming to absorb the lantern light, and for a fleeting second, they glowed with a faint red-orange light, like fire burning beneath deep water. Then, without another word, it didn't turn or walk away. It simply dissolved and vanished into nothingness, like smoke caught in a sudden wind, leaving behind only the faint sulphurous smell of extinguished candle wick and an empty doorway. Aduke collapsed in a dead faint. Alani stood frozen, staring at the spot where his own double had stood, his mind refusing to process the impossible sight. Nobody spoke for a long, long time. The first rays of the sun began to paint the sky, but they brought no comfort, only the stark light of an horrifying new reality. Paola Rewaju was the one who broke the silence after about 2 hours. His voice rasped and aged beyond its years. "The matter has gone beyond us," he declared, his knuckles white on his walking stick. "We need to invite spiritual people because this is already a full-blown spiritual case. The world we cannot see has broken into this one. Alani, can you call your pastor?" By daybreak, Alani had called their family pastor, a stout, serious man named Pastor Tunde. He arrived, listened to everything quietly, his face growing increasingly somber as the story unfolded. He did not scoff or dismiss their account. When they finished, he spoke softly, but his words carry immense weight. "What she called on wasn't her husband's spirit," he explained, his gaze sweeping over the traumatized couple. "Our loved ones who are in the Lord, wherever they are, they are. If they are dead, they are resting. They do not come at our whims." She opened a door to the spirit realm, and a being, a masquerading spirit, answered. Life is spiritual. The physical and the spiritual are woven together like a mat. When movies show you rituals, invocations, and spells, they aren't just acting. Many of those things are real, drawn from real dark practices. What entertains the eyes can corrupt the soul, and in this case, it has invaded a home. They prayed, they anointed the house with olive oil, from corner to corner, praying over every doorway and window. Pastor Tunde asked them to fast and pray for 7 days, to seek divine protection and break any lingering ties. A sense of fragile peace slowly began to descend upon flat 6. But the bigger, more terrifying question remained, growing larger with each passing day. What about the pregnancy? What was it, a child of the spirit or of man? Could it even be considered a child? Should they keep it or hand it? Would the child be normal, a harmless, innocent life? Or would it carry something from the unseen world, a mark of its otherworldly father? The questions haunted their every working moment and poisoned their dreams. The pastor offered no easy answer. He looked at them with deep compassion and said, "This is a heavy cross. Pray, seek God with one heart. The answer will come, but you must be united in whatever decision you make." Months passed. The story of Alani and Aduke never left the neighborhood. It became a modern-day cautionary tale, whispered over fences and discussed in hushed tones at the local market. Even now, when young people argued about the influence of movies, when they dismissed African spiritual beliefs as superstition, someone always says, "Be careful, life is spiritual. Not everything you copy from the screen is safe for your soul. Remember what happened in flat 6. And they always end the discussion with one haunting, unanswerable question. A question that invites you to judge, to empathize, to wonder about the limits of love and nature of fear. What would you do if you were Alani? Would you keep the child or not? Would you keep your wife or not? If you like this story, kindly comment, share, and of course, subscribe. Click on the notification button so that when the next part is released, you'll be the first to get it. God bless you. Amen.